Hi everyone, this is Digitalk with Bimulus. The purpose of this podcast is to raise built environment digitalization awareness amongst industry, showcase Singapore's efforts on built environment digitalization such as BIM, IDD and IPD, and look at digitalization worldview through the lens of Singapore. Every month of the last Friday, we'll be inviting guests to discuss the latest BIM trends happening in the world. We look forward to you following our podcast. Thank you. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. For me, it's coming to evening because I'm currently in Melbourne and then you are in Singapore. So let's just dive straight to it. This is our first episode of Digitalk with Bimulus podcast. So we are, both of us has discussed this a few months back, of what to collaborate since I'm based here. So we brainstorm and, here we are doing our first episode of a podcast. And basically the objective of this podcast, I think we have discussed it earlier on, is to raise BE, built environment digitalization awareness amongst the local and the and global industry. And then two is excuse me for a while, I'm looking at my second screen to go through some of the what's the purpose of this, and then also to showcase Singapore effort on the BE digitalization efforts such as BIM, IDD, and most recently with IPD as well. And then, of course, to look at digitalization worldview through Singapore's through the lens of Singapore. So these are some of the objectives that we are trying to do. So I think I owe it to you that you actually came out with a very quick list of what are the topic discussion or this what we're going to do for the next 1 year for 2023, in line with whatever the national drive for IPD is all about. So I can really have to thank you for a very quick list. We have identified, or you have identified, 5 categories. One of them is computational BIM tools for IPD. So as to foster better integration from design, fabrication, construction, right down to FM. And then the other one is also computational design, but it's for DFMA and sustainability outcomes for construction industry. And then the third one is to have open BIM data management tool and graph-based programming language for BIM data manipulation and automation. So I think there's a bit of this open BIM because by end of the year, I believe Connect X will be implemented. So open BIM is at this moment is gaining a lot of traction locally for submissions for the consultants. Okay, and then the fourth one is capability building for project manager, consultants, and contractors. And then last item is basically other new BE tech and attempts. I think we'll talk a bit more about this later on, especially for other new BE tech and attempts. I think you are already starting to look at ChatGPT. You're trying it on your own as well. So what are the topic discussion that we will look at? So we have previously talked about the categories. Now we are talking about the descriptions. So we'll talk a bit about the IFC SG, and then for Connect X compliance, we'll look at ArchiCAD and GDL and Parallel and Grasshopper and Python scripting. And then I think you also went into Blender BIM as well together with Python. We'll look at PDFMA and then Podium, IFC, JavaScript. And then we'll also look at the new digital delivery management track, how you accreditate yourself into the 4 tiers that Build Smart Singapore has come out with. And then lastly, I think we'll look at AI, IoT, AR, VR, Metaverse, and then of course ChatGPT as well. So how are the podcasts will be recorded, and in what format that we will allow folks to actually, or enthusiasts or BIM people who are passionate about them, they can do it via Spotify and and listen in on it. Or if not, this will also be uploaded as a YouTube video as well. So there's two formats that people can either listen it on Spotify, or if this visuals works better for you, you can actually download it or watch it online with YouTube. So how often will the podcast be uploaded? We'll try and do it the last Thursday of each month, or not last Friday of each month. So now we are coming the end of February, so we are trying to upload this every week, or rather every month. I think, Pong, you have done some quick survey with the industry. Okay, Pong, I've stopped introducing what's the objective and how the format. Do you want to share the PDF on the survey that you've done, or do you want me
Sure.
to?
So the sharing will be conducted through podcasts. Will there be visual? First question.
Okay, so for the podcast part that is uploaded in Spotify, will probably in voice lah. For the
I see.
YouTube one, we will have some visual in the YouTube. So at least
Oh,
one visual and one without visual.
I see. So okay. So you want to allow me to share the screen? So I will try to describe the slides as while I'm sharing it. So there will be visual and oral.
Hang on a bit. Let me see what I can do.
Okay. Can you see the screen now? What
Okay.
I'm sharing?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay, great. So this survey was conducted.
Maximize the screen first.
Let me maximize the screen. Okay, can you see the whole full screen?
Yeah, looking at it now.
So before we go into this, right? So I would like to thank Chris for hosting this and for conducting the monthly podcast for 2023. So for this survey, it was conducted in February 2023, which is actually this month, early of this month, after we had our discussion to move on with the series of topic that we discussed. So for the input we receive, right? First thing is on the usefulness. Is it useful that for the past events that we have conducted? So for past year, we have series of online sharing as well. So for here, it's actually most is with this 142 number of respondents that replied. So out of it, 133 mentioned is useful. So, and the next question is actually whether they prefer to continue the online sharing or they would like to attend a physical setup. So for here, right, similarly, 100 respondents mentioned that they are supportive to continue the online sharing. So if we are asking them, we also ask them the frequency of the sharing. So more than, I mean, half of it mentioned that, oh, they are okay with these once per month uh, sharing session. And also in the year 2023, right? So are they okay if we introduce podcasts? So where the visual will be limited, and they mentioned 91 of them are supportive. So it's more than 50%. It's likely around 70% mentioning they're supportive. These are podcast arrangement. And moving on forward, for the duration. So for the duration, so we ask whether they are okay for 60 minutes or 45 minutes. So most of them, right, likely around, most of them mentioned that 60 minutes and below, they are okay. So of course, there are some that very minority mentioned, oh, 122 hours they would prefer. But actually in a podcast or in a sharing, it might be a bit long. So therefore, I think it's much more appropriate around 45 minutes. It sometimes can cross over to nearly 50 minutes more or lesser, so it doesn't really count. So moving on forward, so the experience. So for the volunteers. So we asked from these respondents, right? There are 9 people that were willing to share their experience, likely around 5%. So, no, this is a normal scenario like Singapore in an Asian country. So, most of them would prefer to listen than share. So, for the preferred topic, we have 122 respondents that's supportive for topic number 2. So, there are 5 topics that we shared. So as you already explained earlier, but topic number 2 refers to the computational BIM tool for integrated planning and design. So this key topic was aimed to align with the refresh ITM in the year 2022, so that it looks into the much updated topic. So for here, what does the integrated planning and design refers to? So the key objective is to foster better integration and to look at data standards. So we are hoping that IFCSG, MCR data driven application, programming, visual programming can be applied so that the outcome can be data driven, cross-disciplinary in a collaborative manner. So this is the outcomes that we're looking forward. So this is the most preferred topic from the respondees. And following the next one would be the computational design for better DFMA, design for manufacturing and assembly, and sustainability outcome. So these are the 3 key things where platforms, methods, and approaches. So we are hoping that the industry can actually adopt this IPD for DFMA and sustainability. This is the second topic. So it's a very general approach. And the third one would be the Open BIM data standard. Open BIM data standard with a graph-based programming language. Then following on with what you mentioned just now, so the new BE tech, and the final one would be the DDM, so Digital Delivery Management Career Path. Yeah. So this is like a very quick summary that we discussed. So generally, the survey did support what we discussed earlier. So because there's actually a journey that we had. So since 2017 from the work group to 2019 to the community of practice until now 2023. So there's a series of learning journey. So our sense is quite accurate, and we really appreciate Chris for supporting the whole journey. So yeah, to grow with the industry.
Yeah, thanks, Pong, for that quick rundown of the survey that we have done. For a moment there, I thought the preferred topics, I was looking at topic 1, where did it go? This was actually arranged based on the survey interest. So
Yes.
but anyway, we'll be bringing in guests to come in to talk about these 5 categories, and then in the categories will be broken down into further topics as well. So okay, I will now share my screen instead to bring up the PowerPoint as well. So let me turn to share. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'll share this PowerPoint on the category that we will be discussing. So just very quickly, this on the topics that we'll be looking at, in line with the categories. So at this moment, we will not be showing the topic yet, but generally these are the categories that we'll be looking at, as mentioned before. So for the first topic on computational BIM tools for IPD, there are 3 sessions, but each of it will probably take about 45 minutes to 30 minutes. The dates are already scheduled in March, April, and May tentatively, and then followed by the computational design for DFMA, which will be scheduled in June, and then the next one will also be in July as well. Then we have Open BIM data. There's one that will be scheduling it in August, and then capability building for PM, project managers, consultants, and contractors will be on the 29th of September. And then other newbie tech and attempts will be held on the 27th of October. And then there will be a last topic to round off everything on the 24th of November. So basically, these are the topics that we'll be looking at. So, Pong, do you have anything to add um, to this timetable?
Yeah, I think the overall timetable is quite holistic. So covering from the very early part of the integration where the IPD is looking at, then moving on forward to its outcome, which is DFMA and sustainabilities, then to the graph base, which is slightly different from compared to a conventional approach, right? When you're looking at computational beam, so normally people will just look at data manipulation. So if the graph base can be introduced, I think it would be a good topic. Then moving on, the next one would be the DDM, right? Then after the DDM, like what you mentioned, the next trend, what should it be? So, but I thought earlier on you actually introduced ChatGPT as one of the key topics. I thought this is
I thought you
seriously
are very excited
important.
about it. Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe,
seriously,
maybe
very
you,
excited about it.
maybe you can be our last speaker by the time year end. You will have already grabbed the whole Jet GPT potential and then show us what you have done. I think what you
Uh,
showed me offline, I think was quite interesting. Trying to extract the IFC, the data from using the Python scripting that you had done. I think that was quite interesting that you showed. Yeah.
Yes, it's quite fundamental. So as I explained earlier, right, beside this ChatGPT used for BE sector, which means AEC, whatever, so coding and to set up your content for delivery, whatever. So there are other use that I'm interested. So for instance, for my own interest, so I'm starting to write poem now, you know. So because it's an AI model language, so I thought it would be good. So these are other interests that that's not related that I found, is another opportunities. Yeah, over.
Yeah, funny enough, when you first showed when you showed the ChatGPT and then you showed me that gotten some script from there. Then funny enough, when I don't have any coding in knowledge at all, but funny enough, when the scripts start, when you show me the script, I actually can understand that what each line means. So yeah. So for those of y'all who are interested in trying to um, work out what coding is all about, I think ChatGPT can help you with some understanding. But I think it will help you and enhance your knowledge if you already have some basic understanding like Pong himself. And then that's where it gets a bit easier to understand and easier a bit more to script on your own. At least you have some fundamentals and then will help you along with it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's the hottest topic this month. So because I observed there are a lot of YouTube videos and and even myself observed that, oh, yes, it's a great tool, but if you check of its accuracy, right? Because I'm going through some exam, then I was typing the exam questions into it. So for instance, this architectural PPE exam, right? You can actually get the or professional exams if anyone is going through it, right? So you want to answer it in your own manner. So I try certain questions and it works. But the thing is, you cannot totally rely on the question because it's really very general. And the clauses and the clause obtained, it's not really accurate. So because when I ask, hey, what is SIA? Then it actually tweaked to a Swiss international standards. Well, I don't know what to say, you know. So therefore, when I explain it, hey, it works. So in a general framework, it actually helps. But for the detail, for the content that requires certain clauses, the numbers, the clauses, right? the specific clauses, you still need to rely on your own. So I think Google still works. So
It has a pinch of salt.
you get
If you go on Google, if you type SIA, it will give you a range of answers as well. It could
yes,
be
yes.
it could be the airline, so it could be something
Yeah,
else.
yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah.
Even the recent news, I think was it this week or last week? Some PSLE questions was actually entered into Chat GPT. It actually didn't do well. Yeah, it was in today's.
Ah,
Well, it actually so. Anyway, it's good that we have shown everyone what the purpose for this Digitalk with Bimulus podcast is all about. What platform it will be on. Again, it will be on both Spotify and YouTube. And then those are the 5 categories that we'll be touching base on. We will try and release this or do this on a monthly basis on a Thursday and a Friday. And we will take note on the survey that has been done. I'm glad that 60 minutes and below has a big percentile of people actually agree that it's not too long. And also based on the topics, everybody seems to be interested, mostly in computational design. I hope through the podcast we can raise a bit more awareness on the DDM accreditation for the industry as well. I think that is also equally as important. And of course, the podcast basically is to help and with the national alignment of how the IDD or IPD is for the CITM is going to be. So I hope all of y'all can tune in more when we get in the guest. Pong, you got anything else you want to add?
yeah. I think this is the first session. So let's move on to the next one with the actual speakers for their sharing. Right? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So we'll see everyone again back on the, once it's up again and running. I hope you all will subscribe to us both on YouTube and Spotify. Thanks, Pong. Thanks. Have
Okay.
a
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. You too. Bye bye.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us on the session on Digitalk with Bimulus. We hope you have gained some insights from the episode and hope you could follow us in our next episode again. Thank you and goodbye.